Every morning for 5 agonizing months, I woke up unable to keep even a piece of toast down. I withered away, losing 35 pounds of body weight. My hair, once thick and silver, fell out in alarming clumps on my pillow. 3 different specialists ran every test imaginable, blood panels, scans, biopsies, and found absolutely nothing wrong. Then, one fateful afternoon, a stranger in a dusty antique shop looked at the watch my son gave me, and his face drained of all color. He opened the back casing with trembling hands. When he saw what was coiled inside, he grabbed my wrist with a grip of iron. "Take this off right now." I stared at the tiny, sinister capsule hidden in the mechanism. My son gave me this for my 60th birthday. The stranger's hands were shaking as he looked at me with pity. "Then let me show you what your son has actually done." I'm so grateful you've joined us on this channel. Before we go further, tell me in the comments what made you click on this video. I'm genuinely curious where you joined us from. Your comment helps this story reach elderly relatives who desperately need this warning. Important disclaimer: this account includes fictional elements crafted for storytelling and educational value. Any similarity to real individuals or locations is unintentional, though the message itself remains critically important. Looking back now, I should have sensed the darkness looming that night, but hindsight is always clearer than the moment. It was my 60th birthday, 2 years after my wife, Alina, passed away. I hadn't wanted to celebrate, but my daughter, Rebecca, insisted. "Mom would want this, Dad," she'd said gently, and I knew she was right. So there I was in my living room on a cool spring evening with a handful of people who cared. Rebecca, a few neighbors, and old Ted from my bowling league. Julian arrived around 7:00 p.m. I was genuinely surprised to see him. My son had been a ghost for the past 6 months, always claiming to be too busy with high-stakes, real estate deals to visit his old man. But there he was, that charming, winning smile on his face, holding a small, wrapped box. "Happy birthday, Dad." He hugged me tight, perhaps tighter than usual. Rebecca appeared from the kitchen, her eyes flicking to the gift in Julian's hands. Something dark passed across her face. Surprise, maybe suspicion. It vanished before I could be sure. Julian handed me the box. "I got you something special." Inside, nestled in midnight black velvet, was a watch. Not just any watch. This was the kind of timepiece you see in high-end jewelry store windows and walk past because the price tag is a mortgage payment. Silver case, genuine leather band, an elegant face with Roman numerals. It was a masterpiece. "Julian, this is I couldn't finish." He took it from the box, held it up to catch the chandelier light. "Dad, you taught me that time is the most valuable asset we have. Every second with the people we love matters." His voice wavered, thick with emotion. "I want you to remember every time you look at this how proud I am to be your son." My throat tightened. This was the thoughtful boy I raised, not the distant stranger of recent months. "Thank you, son." I pulled him into a hug. "It's magnificent." "Put it on." He fastened the leather band around my left wrist. The watch settled there, heavy, cool, and solid. It felt significant. "Perfect, it suits you." I held up my wrist, admiring the craftsmanship. "I don't know what to say." "Just promise me something." Julian's hand rested on my wrist, his fingers brushing the cold metal of the casing. "Promise you'll wear it every day. Don't take it off. I want you to think of me every single time you check the time." It seemed an odd request, almost childlike in its intensity, but I understood. Grief makes us need connection in strange ways. "I promise," I said easily. "I'll wear it every day." Julian's whole face relaxed, as if I'd handed him a winning lottery ticket. "Thanks, Dad." Rebecca had been quiet through all of this, arms crossed defensively. "It's a beautiful watch," she said carefully, measuring her words. "Very generous. Dad deserves it." Julian's smile stayed fixed like a mask. "Doesn't he?" "Of course." The party moved forward. We ate cake, told stories about Alina, and laughed. but I noticed Julian's eyes kept drifting to my wrist, checking, verifying that the silver band was still there. By 10:00 p.m., everyone had left except my kids. Julian was gathering his coat when he paused at the door. "You're wearing it right, the watch." I held up my wrist, "Haven't taken it off." "Good, don't, just keep it on for me." "I will, I promised." He smiled, looking visibly relieved. "You're the best, Dad, I love you." After they both left, I stood alone in my quiet living room, the watch catching the lamplight. Julian had always been thoughtful. This was just him showing love. I promised him I'd never take it off. It was the easiest promise I'd ever made. Back then, I thought it was just a gift from a loving son. I didn't know I was strapping a ticking time bomb to my own arm. 1 week later, everything changed. I woke up and barely reached the bathroom before getting violently sick. At first, I assumed it was something I ate. Maybe the potato salad had turned, or I'd caught a stomach bug. That happens when you're 60. Your body doesn't bounce back the way it once did. I took antacids, sipped a ginger ale, and told myself it would pass. It didn't. By the second week, I woke up nauseous every single morning. Not mild nausea, but the deep, rolling kind that brings a cold, clammy sweat. I couldn't keep breakfast down. The smell of toast made me gag. Even coffee, my ritual for 40 years, suddenly tasted like battery acid. I skipped morning meals, drinking only water until the feeling eased around noon. That's when Julian started calling. "Hey Dad, just checking in. How are you feeling?" His voice sounded warm and concerned. He called every other day, then every day, sometimes twice. "I'm okay," I'd say, "just a little under the weather." "What symptoms? Nausea, fatigue, anything else?" At the time, it felt caring. A son worried about his aging father. Looking back, I see how specific those questions were, how detailed, as if he were tracking data points in an experiment. And always he asked, "You're still wearing the watch, right?" "Of course," I'd reply, glancing at my wrist. I'd grown used to its heavy weight. "I haven't taken it off, I promised." "Good, that's good, Dad." By week 3, I'd lost 8 pounds. I noticed when my belt needed another notch. Rebecca came over that Sunday for lunch, or tried to. I barely touched the sandwich she made. "Dad, you look awful," she said, covering my hand with hers. "When did you last eat properly?" "I'm just not hungry." "This isn't normal," she said, fear edging her voice. "You need to see Dr. Evans. It's been 3 weeks, please." I promised to call Monday. That afternoon, Julian stopped by with groceries: chicken soup, crackers, ginger ale. "Thought you might need these," he said, unpacking my kitchen. I was touched. The son, absent for half a year, was now bringing soup. "Thanks, Jules, that means a lot." He smiled, then looked intently at my wrist. "You're wearing the watch all the time." "Yeah, even in the shower. I'm careful. Yesterday, I splashed it washing dishes, but I dried it right away." His body went rigid. "Dad, you have to be careful." "I know, it's fine." "No," he snapped, his voice unusually sharp. "That watch isn't fully waterproof. You could damage the mechanism. Please be careful." The intensity surprised me. I assumed he was protective of an expensive gift. "I will, I promise." By week 4, I couldn't ignore it. I stepped on the scale and stared. 158 pounds. I'd been 175 at my party. 17 pounds gone in a month. In the mirror, my face looked hollow, eyes sunken, my shirt hanging loose on my frame. This wasn't a bug, it was something serious. I called Rebecca. "You were right. I need Dr. Evans." "Thank God, I'll schedule it. I can do it today." I called. Dr. Evans could see me Thursday morning. When I told Julian, his answer came fast. "I'll take you." "You don't have to." "I want to. I'm worried. I want to hear what he says." It sounded natural. How could I know he wanted to monitor the doctor just as closely as he monitored me? Julian picked me up early that morning for my appointment. He insisted on driving, and I was grateful. I'd been feeling too weak and dizzy to drive myself. Dr. Evans ran every test he could think of: blood work, urinalysis, even an abdominal ultrasound. 4 weeks of constant nausea had worn me down to a shadow. Dr. Evans had been my doctor for 15 years. The moment I walked into his examination room, his professional mask slipped. "Arthur, you've lost significant weight." He helped me onto the table, checked my vitals, examined my eyes and throat. "I'd estimate 15 to 20 pounds. When did this start?" "About a month ago, right after my birthday." "We need comprehensive tests," he said, making notes rapidly. "Blood panel, urinalysis, abdominal ultrasound. I want to rule out everything." Julian had stayed in the waiting room during my physical exam, but he joined us when Dr. Evans explained the tests. "What are you looking for specifically?" Julian asked, leaning forward with intensity. "Liver function, kidney function, infections, digestive issues," Dr. Evans replied. "We'll be thorough." "Thank you, doctor." Julian's hand rested on my shoulder, a heavy weight. "We just want to know what's wrong." The tests took most of the morning. Through it all, I felt Julian's presence like a hawk, playing the role of the devoted son perfectly. A week later, Dr. Evans called me back for results. Julian drove me again. "Mr. Bennett, I have to admit I am puzzled." Dr. Evans spread the lab reports across his desk. Everything came back normal. Blood count, liver enzymes, kidney function, all within normal ranges. The ultrasound showed no abnormalities. I stared at him, feeling a wave of hopelessness. "But I'm losing weight. I can barely eat. Something is wrong." "I know, I can see that." He tapped his pen against the chart. "I'm referring you to a gastroenterologist, Dr. Russo. She is excellent. Maybe it's something these standard tests aren't catching." The tests came back clean. That should have been good news. Instead, it just deepened the mystery and the fear. In Julian's car on the way home, I sat quietly staring out the window. How could everything be normal when I felt this terrible? "Don't worry, Dad, we'll figure it out." Julian glanced over. "The nausea, is it worse in the morning or evening?" "Morning mostly. Every day, even when I don't eat much." "Yeah, every single morning." The questions felt caring, but there were so many of them, so specific. That evening, Rebecca called. "How did the appointment go?" "All the tests came back normal." "Normal? Dad, you've lost 20 pounds. How can everything be normal?" "I don't know. He referred me to a specialist." There was a heavy pause on the line. "Dad, I need to ask you something. Doesn't it seem weird that Julian is suddenly so involved? He barely visited twice in the 6 months before your birthday. Now he's at every appointment, calling every day." I felt defensive immediately. "Rebecca, he's worried about me. He's being a good son." "I know, but the timing, your brother's track record, can't you just be happy he's here?" She went quiet. "You're right, I'm sorry." After we hung up, I sat alone in my living room. The house was quiet, except for the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock. I looked down at the watch on my wrist, catching the lamplight, but Rebecca's words stuck with me like a splinter. As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I remembered the nightmares I'd been having lately, dreams of suffocating, of being buried under heavy silver coins. Julian hadn't visited more than twice in the 6 months before my birthday. He'd been distant, always busy. Why was he suddenly acting like son of the year? The questions Rebecca planted that night kept me awake until morning, but dawn came anyway, carrying a harsher kind of clarity. I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. My face looked hollow, almost skeletal. The dark circles under my eyes had deepened into purple bruises, and my hair had thinned so badly that pale patches of scalp showed through where thick silver hair once was. 25 pounds. I had lost 25 pounds in just 3 months. Mrs. Henderson from next door noticed too. I was checking the mail when she walked over, her friendly smile fading as she got closer. "Arthur, honey, are you feeling all right? You look." She stopped herself, but I knew what she meant. I looked sick, really sick. Just under the weather, I told her. The doctors are working on it. She squeezed my arm before heading back inside, deep concern lingering in her eyes. That afternoon, Rebecca stopped by. The moment she saw me, her face drained of color. "Dad," she whispered. "Oh my God, Dad." "I'm okay," I tried to say, but she was already beside me, hands on my face as if she needed proof I was real. "You're not okay. Look at you. Your hair." She touched my head gently, tears forming. "Why didn't you tell me it was this bad?" Before I could answer, Julian's voice came from the kitchen. "Hey, Dad, I brought groceries. Got that soup you like." Rebecca turned toward the sound, and I followed. Julian was unpacking bags, moving through my kitchen like it belonged to him. Organic broths, plain crackers, ginger ale, the perfect image of a devoted son. "Julian," Rebecca said tightly, "can I talk to you?" He looked up, concern carefully arranged on his face. "Of course. Is everything okay?" "No, nothing's okay." She stepped closer. "Dad's losing his hair. He's down to what, Dad? 155. You've been here almost every day for weeks. How are you not panicking?" "I am panicking," Julian replied calmly. "That's why I'm here. Someone has to take care of him." "You weren't here 6 months ago." "I'm here now, Rebecca. Isn't that what matters?" "Is it?" Her hands shook. "Because it's strange. You barely called Dad for half a year, and suddenly you're meal prepping and playing nurse." Julian's jaw tightened. "Are you really doing this right now? Dad's sick and you're making this about me." "I'm making it about the fact that something is wrong, really wrong." "Yeah, Dad's sick, that's what's wrong." He turned to me. "Dad, can you talk to her? She's acting paranoid." I should have listened. I should have heard the terror in my daughter's voice and asked better questions. Instead, I said, "Rebecca, honey, your brother's just trying to help." The hurt on her face struck me harder than any physical symptom. She grabbed her purse and left without another word. Julian sighed. "I'm worried about her, Dad. That wasn't normal." "She's scared," I said. "Maybe." His eyes flicked to my wrist instantly. "You're still wearing the watch. Good. I'd hate for anything to happen to it." A few days later, I was washing dishes when water splashed over the watch. Julian, who had stopped by unannounced, grabbed my wrist so hard that I gasped. "Did water get inside?" His voice was sharp, almost panicked. "It's just a watch, Julian." "It's not just a watch, it's—" He stopped himself. "It's expensive and it means something. Please be careful." That night alone in the dark, Rebecca's words returned to me. I realized something terrible. I had chosen to believe my son over my daughter, and that choice might be the biggest mistake of my life. The next few weeks blurred into a fog of medical appointments and worsening symptoms. By the 4th month, I had lost 30 pounds. I could barely reach the mailbox without needing to sit down to catch my breath. Rebecca stopped voicing her suspicions to me, though I would later learn she never stopped watching him. The doctors were running out of ideas and I was running out of time. Dr. Elena Russo, the gastroenterologist, performed an endoscopy. I remember the bitter sedative and the tube sliding down my throat. When I woke, she wore the same puzzled look I had seen before. "Mr. Bennett, your digestive tract is completely normal. No ulcers, no inflammation, nothing to explain your symptoms." "Then why can't I keep food down?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She had no answer. Next came the neurologist, Dr. Simon Vance. The headaches had grown so severe that light felt unbearable. He ordered an MRI, ran balance tests, and checked my reflexes. "Everything is normal," he said. "No tumors, no lesions, no neurological disorders." I wanted to scream. How could everything be normal when I felt like I was dying? The oncologist was my final hope. Cancer had to be the answer. Nothing else explained the weight loss, exhaustion, and the way my body was giving up. There were scans, blood work, and more waiting. "Mr. Bennett, There is no evidence of cancer anywhere in your body. That was when one of them, I can't remember which, suggested stress, psychological trauma, my wife's death. I'm not imagining this, I said. I've lost 35 pounds. My hair is falling out. This isn't in my head. But I saw it in their eyes. They thought grief was making me sick. They thought I was doing this to myself. Julian came by that evening and found me sitting in the dark. How did it go, Dad? They think I'm crazy, I said. They think it's grief. He sat across from me, and something in his expression unsettled me. Maybe it is, Dad, he hesitated. Maybe it's just aging. Maybe there really isn't anything wrong physically. Julian, I'm wasting away. I know, he said, but his voice was flat, like he was done pretending to care. The thought crossed my mind and vanished, another paranoid idea influenced by Rebecca, one I tried desperately to ignore. That night was the worst yet. Vomiting. Headaches so violent I thought my skull would split open. At 3:00 in the morning, I made a decision. I needed air. I needed to leave this house that felt like a tomb. The next morning I drove downtown, parked on a side street I didn't recognize, and started walking with no destination, just needing to move. I wandered onto a quiet block of small shops, antiques, a used bookstore, a cafe with empty tables. Then I saw it, a narrow storefront with a window full of old watches and clocks, their faces catching the sunlight. I caught my reflection in the glass and barely recognized myself. Hollow cheeks, sunken eyes, skin the color of old newspaper. Then I looked past my reflection into the shop. Something pulled me toward that door. Maybe it was the watches reminding me of the one on my wrist. Maybe it was chance. Or maybe, as I've come to believe, it was divine intervention guiding me exactly where I needed to be. I pushed the door open, unaware that this single step would change everything that followed and unravel the truth I feared most. A soft bell chimed above my head. The shop smelled like old wood, metal polish, and history, a comforting, grounded scent. Hundreds of timepieces lined the walls, their gentle, synchronized ticking creating a strange kind of peace. I was so weak I had to grip a display case just to stay upright. Good afternoon. Welcome, feel free to look around. An elderly man emerged from the back. Mid-60s, silver hair, wearing thick spectacles and an apron. He had kind eyes that didn't miss much. I nodded, moving slowly toward a case of vintage pocket watches. I've always appreciated fine timepieces. He came closer, genuinely interested. You have good taste. That's a beautiful watch you're wearing. May I ask where you got it? My son gave it to me for my 60th birthday, 5 months ago. Something shifted in his expression. He adjusted his glasses, squinting at my wrist. 5 months, he paused. Forgive me if I'm being forward, sir, but Have you been feeling unwell recently? I stared at him. How did you know? His voice was gentle but serious. I've been doing this for 42 years. I notice things. Your eyes have a yellow tint. Your skin is very pale. You're trembling, and that watch. He stopped. May I examine it, just for a moment? I hesitated. It was the first time I'd actually considered taking it off. But looking at this stranger, Sela's Thorn, I felt a strange sense of trust. I agreed, unclasping it. My wrist felt naked without it, and a phantom burning sensation lingered on my skin. He examined it with a jeweler's loupe, weighing it in his palm. The weight's not right for a piece this size. It's too heavy in the wrong places. He carried it to his workbench in the back, used a small specialized tool, and carefully opened the case back. And there it was. A hidden compartment, a tiny sealed glass capsule containing a clear liquid. His face went grave. He looked at me with something like fear. Sir, I need you to listen to me very carefully. He pointed to the capsule. This compartment was custom crafted. It's designed for slow release. Microscopic perforations allow vapor to escape gradually when warmed by body heat, the heat of your wrist. He met my eyes. In 42 years, I've only seen this kind of modification a few times, never for good purposes. The room spun. What are you saying? I believe you've been exposed to something harmful, a toxic substance through this watch. I gripped the edge of his workbench. That's not possible. How long have you been sick? 5 months, since I started wearing it. And the symptoms: nausea, weight loss, hair falling out. Yes, all of it. The doctors can't find anything wrong because they're not testing for this. His voice was firm but kind. This wasn't an accident. Someone modified this watch specifically to harm you. Julian's face flashed through my mind. Never take it off, Dad, promise me. The panic when water splashed on it. The daily calls, you're still wearing it, right? His disappointment when doctors found nothing. Rebecca's voice months ago, something's not right here. My son, I whispered, the realization shattering my heart. My own son gave me this. Sela's thorn looked at me with such compassion, it broke something inside me. I'm so sorry, but you need to understand. If you keep wearing this, you won't survive much longer. I stared at the opened watch on his bench. The beautiful silver casing, the hidden chamber, the weapon my son had placed on my wrist with a smile and a speech about time being precious. Silas's hand steadied me as my knees started to buckle. Don't put that watch back on, he said firmly, and don't go home. You need to go straight to the police station right now. Before I reveal what my son's real motive was, I need to know you're still here. Just comment time below. One word, that's all. It lets me know this story is reaching people who need this warning. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip the counter. Silas guided me to a chair in the back workshop. Sit down before you collapse, he said gently. He brought me water, but I couldn't drink it. There has to be another explanation, I said, bargaining with reality. Julian wouldn't, he couldn't. Silas pulled up a stool sitting at eye level. Mr. Bennett, I need to ask some difficult questions. Do you have significant assets? Life insurance? The question hit like ice water. Yes, I have a life insurance policy about $1.5 million, and I'm leaving my lakefront property to my kids. It's worth over $2 million. Does your son have financial troubles? Julian's face flashed through my mind. His vague comments about tough times at work. His questions about when I planned to sell the lakefront place. The tension around money I'd blamed on the economy. I don't know, I said. He never said it directly. Mr. Bennett, modifications like this are expensive, Silas said. Custom work, illegal work. That means planning, that means desperation. The room tilted. Oh God, he planned this for months, my own son. Silas's hand rested steadily on my shoulder. I know this is devastating, but you need to act now. Every day you wore that watch, more of that substance entered your system. You need medical attention and protection. He wrote down his contact information. I'll testify about what I found. I'll help however I can, but right now we need to get you somewhere safe. I can't go home, I said. If he knows I figured it out. I'll drive you to the police station myself. Something broke inside me then. Not just what Julian had done, but what it meant. The birthday speech about time being precious. The phone calls pretending to care. The visits with soup and concern. All of it had been a performance. All of it was him monitoring whether I was dying fast enough. I raised him, I whispered. I taught him right from wrong. I gave him everything. How could my son do this? Iliz's eyes were wet. I don't have that answer. I'm so sorry. He closed the shop and led me to his car. As we drove toward the police station, I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Julian. I stared at his name, the photo from last 4th of July, his arm around my shoulders, both of us smiling. I knew I could never see him the same way again. Silas drove me straight to the police station. My hands were still shaking as I walked through those doors. The desk officer took one look at me, pale, trembling, barely standing, and called for a detective immediately. Detective Karen Hayes met me in an interview room 10 minutes later. She listened to my entire story without interrupting. Then she said 5 words. "We believe you, Mr. Bennett." After 5 months of doctors not believing something was wrong, those 5 words almost made me cry. She handled the watch like evidence, which it was, and called forensics. "I'm treating this as attempted homicide. We need this analyzed tonight. Mr. Bennett, we're taking you to the hospital. We need blood samples, hair samples, proof of what you've been exposed to." "What about my son?" "If he finds out, don't contact him. We'll handle this carefully. Where can you stay that's safe?" "My daughter, Rebecca." Hayes called Rebecca and explained the situation. I heard my daughter's voice crack through the phone. I knew something was wrong. I knew. At the hospital, they drew blood and clipped hair samples. The doctor was shocked at my condition and started IV fluids immediately. That evening at Rebecca's apartment, Julian called. My hand shook seeing his name. Detective Hayes coached me. "Act normal. Tell him you're at the hospital for monitoring." I answered, my voice weak, not hard to fake. "Julian." "Dad, where are you? I've been calling. Are you okay?" "I'm at the hospital. More tests. They want to keep me overnight." Suspicion crept into his voice. "Which hospital? I'll come right now." "No visitors allowed. New regulations. I'll call you tomorrow." "Dad, wait. You're still wearing the watch, right? You didn't take it off." I looked at the watch in the evidence bag across the room. "Of course, I promised you." 48 hours later, the lab results came back. Thallium. Thallium in the capsule. Thallium in my hair shaft, showing 5 months of accumulation, building in my system, increasing over time. The doctor's words, 2 more months and your organs would have failed completely. The financial investigation revealed everything. Julian's debts, $1, $2 million from a cryptocurrency collapse and high-interest loans. A forged signature on my insurance policy, increased from $1.5 million to $4 million 8 months ago. They arrested Julian at his apartment that evening. 3 months later, I sat in a courtroom. Julian had initially pleaded not guilty, but the evidence was overwhelming. His attorney negotiated a plea deal. I testified, described Julian's behavior, the watch, the symptoms, the insistence that I never remove it. Julian's eyes met mine across the courtroom. His face showed nothing. No remorse, no apology, just a cold, vacant stare. The judge's voice was firm at sentencing. "Mr. Bennett, you betrayed the most sacred bond in human society, that between father and son. You calculated your father's death for financial gain. This court sentences you to 25 years in prison with no possibility of parole for the first 15. Julian was led away in handcuffs. He didn't look back at me, not once. I don't know if that made it easier or harder. Part of me wanted him to turn around, to show some remorse, to give me something that explained all of this. But he just walked away. And maybe that was his final answer. That was a year ago. The trial, the sentencing, watching Julian being led away, all of it feels like another lifetime now. Today, I'm standing in my kitchen making breakfast without feeling nauseous for the first time in what feels like forever. The watch sits in a police evidence locker somewhere. I hope I never have to see it again. My physical recovery took months of chelation therapy to eliminate the thallium from my system. I gained my weight back, reaching a healthy 170 pounds. My hair grew back. My energy returned. The doctors called it a medical miracle. They told me if Silas had spotted that watch 2 weeks later, the liver damage would have been permanent. 2 weeks, that's how close I came. Physical recovery came faster than emotional healing. I still see a therapist twice a month. I'm learning to process what it means when your own child calculates your death for money. I'll probably never fully understand why Julian did it. Maybe he doesn't either. Desperation makes people do terrible things, but I refuse to let his choices define the rest of my life. My daughter saved my life by trusting her instincts when I wouldn't listen. Rebecca and I have dinner together twice a week now. I don't take that time for granted anymore. Silas Thorne and I became close friends. We meet for coffee once a month. He now speaks at jeweler conferences about identifying tampered items, teaching other dealers to watch for modifications that could harm people. He calls it his mission. I call him my guardian angel. I kept Aliner's lakefront property, the one Julian wanted me to sell so he could inherit early. Instead, Rebecca and I go there on weekends. We're creating new memories, good ones that honor Aliner, without being haunted by Julian's greed. I won't let his actions tarnish what my wife loved. I found a new purpose, too. I speak at senior community centers now about elder abuse and financial exploitation. It's more common than people think, and it doesn't always look like violence. Sometimes it looks like a loving son giving his father a watch. Here are the warning signs I share. Sudden attention from estranged family members, especially when you have significant assets. Pressure to make quick financial decisions without time to think or consult others. Gifts that seem overly generous or come with strings attached. Insistence that you use or wear something constantly with unusual concern when you don't. Family members who isolate you from other relatives or friends who might notice something's wrong. I don't know if I'll ever trust as easily as I did before, but I'm learning that healthy caution isn't paranoia, and I'm still capable of forming new friendships. Silas proved that. If you're reading this or someone you love is reading this, I want you to remember something. Pay attention to your instincts. If something feels wrong, investigate. Ask questions. Seek help from someone outside the situation. Don't dismiss your concerns just because someone says you're being paranoid. Rebecca was called paranoid. She was right. And if someone, anyone, insists you never remove a gift they gave you, ask yourself why. What are they afraid you might discover? My son tried to harm me for money. He calculated that I'd be gone within months, leaving him millions richer. But he failed. And I'm here, healthy and determined, making sure others recognize the warning signs before it's too late. The watch that was supposed to end my life became the evidence that saved it. That's the irony. Evil often contains the seeds of its own exposure. I wake up every morning grateful for three things: a daughter who wouldn't stop questioning, a stranger who knew watches well enough to spot danger, and a second chance to make my remaining years count for something. Your life might depend on paying attention to those small warning signs. If this story gives you pause, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Talk to your elderly parents or grandparents. Check in on them regularly. Ask questions. Notice changes in behavior or sudden new relationships. Trust your instincts. They might just save a life. Thank you for staying with me until the end. I know it wasn't easy. Please subscribe to this channel so you never miss these stories that could protect you or someone you love. And hit that share button. You might just save a life.